Yo, what's going on, guys? Jack here from On the Spot Sports, and today on our episode, we have a very special guest, our first professional athlete, Jamie Phillips, who is a goaltender for the Coventry Blaze ice hockey team in the Elite Ice Hockey League. Jamie also played for the Manitoba Moose of the American Hockey League, Tulsa Oilers, Jacksonville Icemen, Reading Royals, and Florida Everblades of the East Coast Hockey League. Jamie, how are you?
I'm good, Jack. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Let's just get right into it.
Absolutely.
So for my first question, did you start out as a goalie or did you start out as a player first?
Yeah, I actually started out as a player. Like in the small town I grew up, I was pretty good, and my dad put a lot of pressure on me as a kid to perform, like a lot of dads do, and they see that their son or daughter is doing very well. And fortunately, I didn't really enjoy being a player. Maybe that was from the pressure or whatnot, but for something about being a goalie, maybe it's the equipment or just I don't know, maybe the responsibility just called to me. And then my dad kept saying, no, I'm not going to switch. I'm going to switch. And when I was about 12 years old, I just told my dad that if I can't be a goalie, I'm going to quit hockey and do something else. So reluctantly, he gave in to my ultimatum and he let me become a goalie. But I did start a little later than most at 12. I know most kids start 8 or 9, but I think being a player for a little bit longer helped with a little bit more athletic development, but I did have to play catch up in terms of my development as a goalie, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I'm in like the same boat as you were. I started out as a forward since I was 3, and then I just recently switched to goalie when I was 15, 16. So I also got that late start. So
as long as you're enjoying it, if you enjoy the new position, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how late you start.
Yeah, it's crazy being a goaltender.
Oh yeah.
So you played college hockey for the Michigan Tech Huskies from 2012 to 2016, and you had a record of 57-25 record. I went way in depth with that, and you had a 2.23 goals against average. What was it like playing college hockey, and what was your favorite part of playing?
Well, my college hockey years, honestly, were probably the best 4 years I've had in my life. Being Canadian, we don't get exposed to a lot of American college sports other than, big football on TV or March Madness. And then for the most part, what we see is just, the classic stuff on TV. But, I didn't really know what to expect when I went. And I went there, and Tech's a small school up on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And it's actually the snowiest city in America, so that was an adjustment. But it was just it's hard to put into words how amazing the experience is being a Division I athlete. I mean, you have to go to class, obviously, and you have all the responsibilities as a student, but to be able to go and represent your school every single night, and you're playing in front of your peers, your classmates, you're playing in front of your alumni that give back so much to the school, and you represent more than a hockey team. You represent a whole university and all the graduates and future graduates of that university. So there was a responsibility there, but it was the most enjoyable part. I mean, there's no trades, there's none of this, there's none of that. It's just you and the same group of guys year in, year out. I mean, with my class, some of those guys I played with for 4 straight years, other guys 3 years. And so being a part of that really builds the camaraderie, as well as going to class and sharing classes with these guys. And then my final 2 years at Tech, we were a pretty good team. And obviously when a team has success, it's a lot more enjoyable. But I think, I can't stress enough how important the education part was as well. Plus, you have the opportunity to get an education and play hockey. I mean, you can't turn it down. But especially the best 4 years of my life so far. But I can't say enough about it.
That's honestly awesome. I'm coming from a D3 school, so it's like completely different from like a D3 school to a D1 school in terms of like the athlete and the athletic part, which is interesting. And going back to being a student athlete, In 2015-16, you won the Outstanding Student Athlete of the Year award. How much did that mean to you?
It meant a lot. Honestly, I didn't even know it was an award until I was nominated for it. It was just one of those things. I mean, growing up, my parents really ingrained the importance of education in me, and I really took pride in getting high grades and trying to be at the top of my class. And to be able to win an award that that shows that my success in the classroom and my success on the ice kind of correlated was really important. I really appreciate that, and it's a big honor. It's definitely not something that's it's something that you should brush under the rug, because as student athletes, as it is a tough it's tough to balance, and you're the classroom and the athletics, but to be able to for me, find the happy medium in terms of getting good grades and having success on the ice was something I strove for. And it's nice to get an award for it, obviously, but I was rather happy I got the grades, most importantly.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a student athlete could be hard at times, but I love it. I love every part of it. So you also were named to the NCAA WCHA first All-Star team in 2014-15. What was it like being nominated for the All-Star team?
It's really an honor. When a goalie gets an award like that, it's more, it's a reflection on the team as well as the goalie. If our team's given up 3-on-0s and 2-on-0s every night, usually the goalie doesn't win any sort of awards because their numbers don't look good. But we had a very, very good team with a lot of very good, very special players, and their success made my life a lot easier. And they reduced the amount of grade A chances I had to get every night, and then it was my responsibility to come up with a big save every now and then, and unfortunately I was able to. But an award like that, definitely one is more representative of the team than anything else.
It's always good to have a solid defensive team. I wouldn't know that because I face 2-on-0 and 3-on-0s in pickups every single game.
Yeah, that sometimes isn't the most fun, but there's always a challenge. You always have to challenge yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I love that challenge. Wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. It's a good mentality.
Yeah. So you were drafted in the 7th round, 190th overall by the Winnipeg Jets in the 2012 NHL draft. What was it like getting drafted by the Jets?
It's a big honor. As a kid, everyone wants to play in the NHL and have an opportunity to play in the NHL. And the draft isn't everything, but it's definitely a big part of getting that opportunity. And coming out of Junior A and the OJHL, there aren't a whole lot of guys drafted every year. It's maybe 4 or 5. So to be one of those selected that year was a big honor, and to go to a great club like the Jets was stuff that I dreamed about as a kid to get that opportunity.
Did you expect the Jets to draft you?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know I was ranked until a friend called me one day, and he just said, "Hey, you're on the draft list." And I spoke to the Winnipeg on the phone, and it's hard to tell in those kind of things because if you're going to be a later draft pick, they're not coming out and saying, "Hey, we're taking you in this round, that round." Like if you're going the first 2 rounds. So for me, it was just, hey, we're interested, and we don't know what's going to happen with the draft, so just watch it, kind of thing. And so yeah, it was a pretty big surprise, and it was nice to hear my name called.
How was playing in Winnipeg? It must have been awesome.
Yeah, the Jets organization and True North Sports did an incredible job, and they treat their players so incredibly well, and it's such a hockey crazy city that from the Jets to the Moose, and even in their East Coast affiliates, they just did a great job of treating us like pros and making us enjoy coming to the rink every day and enjoy playing for the team. And I have nothing but good things to say about that organization.
That's awesome. I have a lot of respect for the Winnipeg organization.
Yeah, and they're like there's no bad things I could say or even think about that for them.
That's awesome. So you started out your pro career in 2016-17 with the Tulsa Oilers of the ECHL. What were your emotions like when you played that first pro game?
To be honest, I didn't really know. Everything was like a whirlwind. it starts. There's a rookie camp in the NHL, and they send you down to main camp, and then they send you to the American League camp, and then they send you to the East Coast. And I got sent to the East Coast on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, on a Monday, and we had a game on the Wednesday. So I just had flown in. I've just been trying to settle down, get an apartment, and next thing you know, we're starting a regular season game, no exhibition. So I didn't know what to expect. I'd never played an East Coast team. I didn't even know all the names of the guys on my team. But so it was kind of a whirlwind, and to be fortunate enough to win my first pro game is definitely something that I can look back and smile on, because not everyone wins their first pro one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially that quick turnaround, just getting the feel for the game, and then coming up with your first professional win. That's awesome. So you got ECHL Goaltender of the Month in your first month of playing. Do you remember that first month and everything that went well for you to start your pro career?
Yeah, so we were a good team in Tulsa. We had a lot of guys that ended up getting called up to the American League that year, but we had started off 10-0. So that definitely was a big part of it, and I had played all 10 of those games in a row, and that, again, like I said before, with the NCAA first team, awards like that, those are representative teams, and for a goalie wins goalie of the month, yeah, he has to play well and make some big saves, but the team is not playing well in front of him, the goalie doesn't win those, and we had a good team in Tulsa that year, and it showed in the award. You
started your pro career 10-0. That's incredible.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty cool. But yeah, I started at 10-0.
Wow. So, what has been your favorite moment in the pro so far?
It's a good question. It's hard to say right now, especially since I'm still playing. But I just think, honestly, the overall experience. I mean, this is no one knows how. I don't know how long I'm going to play, how long my body's going to hold up, if I'm going to get injured one day, or if I'm just going to not enjoy it. But I get to play hockey for a living, and it's a small chunk of my life, and it's something I've worked towards my whole life. So I think just being a pro is my favorite part of being a pro. It sounds weird to say, but I get to travel to different cities. Right now, I'm playing in a foreign country, a whole new world, whole new environment. So, and I would never have had those if it wasn't for hockey and being a pro. So I think, to answer your question, is my favorite part of pro is being a pro. It's kind of it's a weird answer, but that's the way I feel.
I feel like any sport anyone plays, like everyone's favorite part's the experience. Like for me, cross country and track, I'm on a D3 team right now, and I just love the experience. Everything about it, it's just unreal.
No, absolutely, and it's one of those things that if you have to put it in perspective as an athlete, is we're not all going to be able to compete till we're 60 or 70. I mean, unless you're a golfer or something like that. But you have a short window of athletic potential. To be able, you just got to appreciate it and soak up every single moment, every single opportunity that you can.
I soak up every single moment. It's awesome.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
What do you think is your best part of your game right now?
I would say my positioning and my ability to read the game. I've always been good at anticipation, reading plays, and kind of just knowing what's going to happen before it happens. And that little bit of anticipation gives me just a split second to be, ahead of the play. And I think that's something I've always kind of had. And so I definitely think that's one of my strongest points. And then positioning, something that I hammer home with my goalie coach, Derek Boujan, all the time, is just being in position, making yourself as big as possible, and filling up the most of the net as possible.
A lot of people, when I play hockey, they always say that my positioning is really good. And but I'm trying to get the reaction time, just the reading the plays all down. But I'm working on it.
Yeah, I mean, that comes with experience. So the more shots you face, the more games you play, and the more situations you start to face, your brain kind of registers and piles in all that information. And so the next time you see it, or you see a similar situation, you're able to make an educated read on each situation. But that just comes with experience.
It's good to know. Thank you for that. So you have been to a lot of different cities over the course of your career so far. What has been your favorite city that you've lived in or visited?
It's a good question. That's a tough one. Um, I'd say in terms of playing in Fort Myers, Florida. I mean, you can't beat that weather. It was basically playing hockey on a vacation.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Cities that I liked. I mean, San Antonio was awesome. Austin, Texas is great. You know, Grand Rapids is an awesome city. Milwaukee's an awesome city. Like, there's so many places. It would be hard. Honestly, I don't think I could give you a number one city.
Where would Chicago rank in that list?
You know what? I've never seen all of Chicago. When we played in the Wolves, we'd stay outside the city and we'd play outside it. But I have never really taken in Chicago. It's one of the cities that's on my list that I need to actually, check out, in detail.
Hey, next time you're in Chicago, we gotta do like a shootout competition or something.
All right, I'll let you know.
All right, bet. So in your first pro year, I remember seeing you play live in Chicago against my favorite team, the Wolves, when you were with Manitoba, and you played pretty solid there, I think, and it was really cool to see you play.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I do remember playing that game. I just remember that there was fireworks and everything in the intermission, and I know we unfortunately we lost because it was the tail end of a 3-3, but it was an awesome arena, great atmosphere, and I did enjoy playing that game. Yeah,
I love the All-State. And speaking of Manitoba, what was it like? You said what it was like playing in Manitoba. What was that call up like? Getting the call up to Manitoba like from Tulsa?
It was a good feeling, because when you don't want to be in the East Coast Hockey League, especially if you're on like an AHL or NHL deal. You want to be in the American League. You want to be in the NHL. So getting that call up and getting the opportunity to go up and play was a great relief, and it was a testament to the work that I've been putting down the East Coast, and it meant that I was doing all the right things. And so to have a little bit of direction and make sure hey, you're doing the right things, continue what you're doing. It was a really good feeling.
It's awesome. I have to bring this up. In 2017-18, you got into a goalie fight versus the Milwaukee Admirals tough guy, Anders Lindbach. What happened during that fight?
I don't really know. It was kind of like a line brawl. We were inching close to each other, and he just rushed at me, and I should have saw it coming. I wanted to square up, but he rushed at me, which is for him the right thing to do, catch me off guard. And fortunately, when he rushed at me and started punching me in the face, I didn't have time to get my glove off, so I was fighting with one hand. But it was interesting. First time really getting punched in the face really hard. I definitely don't recommend it, but I mean, I'm not opposed to fighting in the game. I definitely wouldn't turn down an opportunity, to stick up for a teammate, whether it came to having to fight again. But I'm not going to be out there looking for one, especially with a guy who's 6'7" or however big Lindback is.
Yeah, he was huge.
Yeah, he's a monster.
So transitioning from the ECHL and the AHL, you're now playing for the Coventry Blaze of the Elite Ice Hockey League in the UK. What made you want to go from playing in the States to going overseas?
I've always wanted to play in Europe, and I just felt like the time was right. It was a tough decision because obviously your goal is to always play in the NHL, and it's really difficult to come from Europe back to the NHL once you finally leave. But I just decided it was the right thing to do in my career where I was at the moment, and I just jumped both feet into it, and I don't have any regrets right now.
You did get called up to the NHL before, right? To the Jets.
I did, but I didn't play any games.
That still must have been cool to be up there, though.
Yeah, it was. That was a really awesome experience.
I can imagine. So, what is the most difficult part from going from playing in North America to the United Kingdom? Any significant differences in the game?
Yeah, so playing on bigger ice is an adjustment. Obviously, your angles are different. Guys have more time. The style of play is probably the biggest challenge because in North America, when guys come in on a rush, usually what they're trying to do is create room to take a shot. Whereas what I've seen so far in Europe is most of the time, guys are trying to create opportunities to make very pretty plays. So where you would normally suspect, like the guy who's coming drives on the wing, you think he's going to throw the puck on net, try to create a rebound. Instead, the guy's going to try to hold on to it, stop up, and then pass it backdoor for a backdoor pass. So it's just being able to add a little bit of patience and to basically expect the unexpected is what I've come to evaluate in the few exhibition games we've played so far.
So reading the play is a huge benefit for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just knowing that, chances are that they're going to try to look and make a pretty play rather than the simple play.
Yeah. So what made you go to Coventry compared to any other city in Europe?
I'd heard a lot of good things about it from guys that I know that have played there, and they had reached out to me from a few different avenues. And when I just came down, when a team is showing that much interest and that much desire to have you, it's pretty enticing. And when you hear only good things about it, I decided that, hey, you know what, let's just give it a shot. And the worst thing, if it's terrible, it's just 1 year. But from what I've heard, I didn't think it sounded really good. And so far, I've had no regrets. It's a great organization, great city, and I'm excited to be with these guys all year.
It seems like a great place to play. What are you most excited for this coming season?
Just new opportunities to play, new cities to visit, just to be able to enjoy, this chapter and experience in my life. Because, one day I'm gonna look back and I'm gonna get to think, well, wow, like I was so lucky. I got paid to play hockey in the United Kingdom. Like that's just an incredible thing that not a lot of people really get to do.
You gotta have no regrets.
Absolutely.
So I've always been a fan of like your masks and like the graphics on your pads, especially with Florida. Where do you get all the inspiration for your mask, and how did you decide to put the Florida logo on your pads last year?
Well, when I was in Florida, obviously that's an easy one, especially with Bauer's screen printing technology. But one thing that when I was a kid, I was always obsessed with the gear. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And so, I know there's a lot of goalies that like to play it simple and have, white because they think it looks bigger, or have lines like this or like that. But, if I had to go, I could talk to my 14-year-old self now, and I told him, like, hey, I'm playing pro hockey and you're doing everything you want, but you have really boring gear. My 14-year-old self would be pretty upset with my decisions. So I just think about it that way. Again, I get to play hockey. I get free gear. I get to choose what it looks like. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to design it. I'm going to have bold colors. I'm going to put whatever I want on my mask. It's just, I have the ability to do it, so I'm going to do it.
That's what it's all about right there. I have the Bauer Supreme 1.9 pads right now, the old Henrik Lundqvist type pads. Those I really like Bauer's.
Yeah, I like Bauer. I switched to Bauer 2 years ago, and they treated me really well. And it's it's a great company, and I really really like wearing their stuff.
They have quality customer service too.
Yeah, very good customer service.
So if you were to give advice to younger goalies, what would your advice be to them?
If I was to give advice to younger goalies, I would just say just keep working. You never know what's going to happen. And, when you look at who makes it and who doesn't, there are those few that are super naturally skilled and highly talented. But for the most part, the athletes that make it are the ones that just don't give up. They just keep working. They do the work. They don't complain about, taking shots high in practice or having to skate with the players or whatever, this or that. They are the ones that put their head down. They do the work every single day and do the extra things to get better. And, when they look up, they're right where they want to be. And those other kids that complain and don't want to work, don't want to put the effort in, they're the ones that, they trickle away and they, the cream rises, as the saying goes. And so try your best to, do the work and be the cream so you rise to the top.
Exactly. After every single game that I play, I usually do like a few laps and work on my T pushes and butterfly slides and all that before. And I'm usually the last guy on the ice too.
Good.
So a few more questions. If you weren't a hockey player, what would you be?
I don't know. I don't know what I would be, to be honest. I'd probably do something in medicine, I think. That's my plan. Even now when I retire from hockey, is to do something in medicine or healthcare, because I really enjoy that part of science and enjoy helping people.
Do you have any superstitions like during like pregame or anything like that?
No real superstitions, but I have my routines that I've had for almost like basically forever that I like to do, and I think keeping the same routines just helps get you into a flow state a little bit better, and it keeps things consistent. But nothing for the point where if I don't do it, it's going to throw me off my game.
Just out of curiosity, what did you study in college?
I was in kinesiology, was my undergrad, and then I did all the pre-med elective classes as well.
That's awesome. So I think, one more question. What was the weather like? What's the weather like in Coventry?
So far it's actually been unbelievable. It's like Europe is facing one of its hottest heat waves ever.
Really?
Most likely thanks to global warming, but it's been very nice. But for the most part, it's classic UK weather where it's kind of rainy and overcast. But right now we've lucked out with more sunny days than we have rainy days. But eventually it's going to turn, and it's just going to go back to cloudy and wet. Any
mountains up there?
Not that I can see. There are mountains, but not where we are. That's more north towards Scotland.
Are you going to visit Scotland?
Yeah, I've been to Scotland before. I've been to the UK before on vacation, but there are some Scottish teams in the league, so that we'll end up playing. But so we'll be going to Scotland.
Europe seems like a pretty cool place to be. I want to get up there eventually. Like I kind of want to play hockey up there too. Just like if it could be just like a pickup like at a rink or something. It seems like another like interesting like pace of game and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those things where you have the opportunity to do it, because you only have one life. So go take advantage of every opportunity you get, visit everywhere you can, and do as many things as possible.
That is true. YOLO.
Exactly.
So I think this will wrap it up. So appreciate your time, Jamie, and thank you for coming on to the podcast and being our first pro athlete ever on this podcast.
Awesome, Jack. Well, I appreciate you having me on. All right, take care, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Good luck with the season, and thanks for your support and everything. It means a lot to us, so thank you.
Yeah, no worries.